Why did Danielle Fishel's husband become internet famous for shrimp tails? And what's the game show she hosted that you definitely don't remember? After Boy Meets World, Fishel's career was never the same. In the mid-1990s, one of the biggest sitcoms around was Boy Meets World. Though the show focused on the life of Corey Matthews, the most enduring character for a lot of fans is his love interest, Fishel's Topanga. Fishel made the role her own and created one of the most memorable network TV characters of the era. So when Boy Meets World came to an end in 2000, Danielle Fishel was definitely riding high. She appeared on a few magazine covers and seemed poised to become the next rising star in Hollywood. It was pretty surprising then when her next career step took the form of starring in National Lampoon's Dorm Daze, which holds the honor of having 0 positive critic reviews on Rotten Tomatoes. Dorm Daze was part of a slew of 2000s films that coasted on the National Lampoon brand recognition, most of which boasted a tiny budget and banked on raunchy humor. Fishel would go on to reprise her role in the direct-to-DVD sequel. One of the reasons Topanga is such a beloved character is the breezy, self-assured attitude that Fishel brought to the role.
Shoots! Ow!
While major acting roles didn't seem to come her way after Boy Meets World, that vibrant personality of Fishel's still showed up on plenty of TV sets as a host. Fishel eventually became the co-host of the MTV game show Say What Karaoke for its final season, alongside the real-world contestant Stephen Hill. She also showed off her comedic delivery as the host of Style Network's The Dish, a sister show to the E! Series The Soup. The Dish was actually a pretty good stepping stone for Fishel, as it provided her with pathways into other hosting gigs over the years. Danielle Fishel showcased her hosting abilities on a number of traditional TV talk shows in the 2000s, but she also took on a more modern hosting gig. In 2013, she became the face of a Pop Sugar YouTube series called Dear Danielle, where she provided advice on sex, dating, and love for the channel's audience. Some of the episodes are standard advice-style videos where Fishel addressed a specific question or comment from a user. Others delve more into skit territory, like her How to Spot a Cheater episode. Ultimately, Dear Danielle didn't last, possibly because of its odd pairing of nostalgia and target demographic. A good portion of Pop Sugar's teenage audience in the early 2010s would have been too young to remember Boy Meets World from its late 90s heyday and might not have recognized Topanga. Nostalgia is the gift that keeps on giving. Seemingly any movie or show that's remembered fondly is ripe for a reboot, sequel, prequel, or reimagining. In 2014, fans of Boy Meets World got a sequel relaunch hybrid, a show that features several members of the original cast reprising their roles and storylines from the original series. And just like that, with Girl Meets World, Topanga was back on TV. Girl Meets World premiered on the Disney Channel in June 2014. It focuses on Riley Matthews, the teenage daughter of Topanga and Corey, as she navigates school and relationships, along with all the drama that comes with those things.
Okay, what's going on with her?
I don't know. Don't do anything.
Both Fishel and Ben Savage returned to their roles from Boy Meets World, hitting the nostalgia buttons for a number of parents who sat down to watch the new series with their kids. Girl Meets World didn't just coast on that nostalgia aspect, though. It had a positive critical reception and was able to successfully bring some of the spirit of the original show into a new era. After 3 seasons, Girl Meets World came to an end, but creator Michael Jacobs searched to find a new home for the story to continue. It seems unlikely at this point, but never say never. Maybe we'll see Topanga's grandkids navigate the halls of high school sometime down the line. Fishel's easy communicating style lends itself perfectly to a memoir. In 2014, she made that happen when she released Normally This Would Be Cause for Concern, Tales of Calamity and Unrelenting Awkwardness. In her memoir, Fishel definitely dishes some stories of her time on Boy Meets World and other acting roles, but it isn't a juicy tell-all story of tabloid fodder. Instead, Fishel uses her experiences to express certain themes. She seems to relish in her imperfections and certainly has no issues with sharing some of her most embarrassing stories. One of her memorable stories revolves around a Halloween party. Fishel wore very tall heels and wound up tripping. She remembers being helped up by a terrifyingly handsome giant who turned out to be Ben Affleck. At the time, she was more worried about bleeding on the star than about her injuries. It's a fun, breezy read if you enjoy memoirs. If you want tons of behind-the-scenes stories about Boy Meets World, Danielle Fishel and some of her fellow castmates have just the solution for you. Fishel, along with her former co-stars Ryder Strong and Will Friedle, began a rewatch podcast in 2022 called Pod Meets World. As a rewatch podcast, episodes of Pod Meets World tend to focus on specific episodes about which the hosts share stories and memories.
This moment kinda made me tear up.
It's a pretty fun listen. The cast of Boy Meets World were of course just kids when the show began, and the podcast often talks about what it was like to grow up right in front of the audience. In addition to Fishel, Strong, and Friedel, other actors and crew members from the series make appearances to talk about their roles and what they remember of filming such a well-loved series. They even invite superfans of the show to talk about what Boy Meets World meant to them. Like most of Fishel's work, Pod Meets World is a fun and easy listen. Even if you aren't a huge fan of Boy Meets World, it's tough to not crack a smile hearing the trio reminisce. Though Fishel has made quite a name for herself as approachable and self-deprecating, she's also shared a few pretty scary stories of her time on Boy Meets World. Fishel has often shared stories about her struggles with her body image, often due to societal pressures and comments from her show's audience. She says that Boy Meets World was an especially difficult time for her. She told people that, when she was 16, she weighed 89 pounds, took laxatives, and would sometimes eat only iceberg lettuce for her meals. She actually collapsed on set one day. Eventually, she realized that her health was more important than forcing her body to adhere to impossible standards.
Unfortunately, we live in a society where they tell us we have to look a certain way.
An even worse story involves some fan mail she got as a young actress. When Fishel first started on the show, she received a letter from a girl her age who was a fan. She began writing back and forth with the girl, who turned out not to exist. Fishel's mother eventually figured out that she was being catfished by a grown man. The incident gave her and her co-stars a chance to talk about setting boundaries between actors and their fans. Considering Fishel's lifelong experience working in the sitcom environment, it should come as no surprise that she has found herself in the director's chair on occasion. She seems to be a go-to director for several Disney sitcoms, which makes perfect sense considering she can address some of the flaws she experienced during her Boy Meets World run. Her first directorial experience came in 2016 for an episode of Girl Meets World. She directed 4 episodes total and has also sat in the director's chair for several Disney series since then. In March 2023, Fishel got the chance to direct her first non-Disney show, an episode of the NBC series Lopez vs. Lopez. Considering how many credits she's racked up in such a short time, it wouldn't be surprising to see Fishel's name on the credits of more sitcoms moving forward. Fishel hasn't publicly dated all that many people over the years, but she has been married twice. In October 2013, she tied the knot with Tim Belusco, a student at California State University whom she'd been dating for several years. They kept their relationship private and ultimately divorced just as quietly in 2016. However, her new single life didn't last long. In March 2018, she got engaged to Jensen Karp, a writer and producer. They walked down the aisle later that year and had 2 sons together. As an interesting footnote in this romance, there's another reason you may know the name Jensen Karp aside from his position as Topanga's husband. In 2021, Karp went somewhat viral when he claimed to have found dried shrimp tails in a box of Cinnamon Toast Crunch. He tweeted a photo of the crustacean contamination, which caught the attention of General Mills, the company that makes the cereal.
I went to Twitter and was like, hey guys, why is there shrimp tails in my cereal?
There was plenty of back and forth with their social media accounts, as General Mills claimed there was no way the incident could have occurred at their facility and asked Karp to send in the box so they could investigate. Was it a prank or a serious case of sullied cereal? Unfortunately, any chance of answering that mystery seems to have died with Karp's X account, so we'll probably never know. On the bright side, Karp and Fishel appear to have a thriving relationship. Despite the monumental success of Boy Meets World and the positive reception to Girl Meets World, Fishel has been in surprisingly few projects over the past few decades. Fishel hasn't had much luck on the movie side of things. Sandwiched between the Dorm Days films was a straight-to-DVD sci-fi film called Gamebox 1.0. She also starred in the similarly unknown 2015 film Boiling Pot. She had a role in the bizarre short film Clapping for the Wrong Reasons, starring and written by Donald Glover. And she voiced a character in a 2007 indie animated film called The Chosen One. In fact, one of the main reasons you don't see Fishel much on TV lately is because most of her television work has been on the voiceover front. She voiced Veronica on a few episodes of the much-loved series Gravity Falls, and she also voiced a librarian on Star vs. the Forces of Evil.
Okay, you're all set, dear. Oh, and could you tell your mother hello for me?
With a family to care for and a popular podcast series, it's no big surprise that Fishel hasn't starred in a lot lately. But here's hoping she'll make the return to the screen sometime soon.